Hi guys, it's Valerine here. Today is Thanksgiving in my hubby's over there waving at me. Today's Thanksgiving in Canada, and I'm sitting here with a cup of tea which is made from several herbs which I've harvested and dehydrated from around the garden, with a little stevia, just a leaf in the tea. I basically just put my herbs in the pot, stick the stevia in, let it come to a boil, and then turn the stove off and let it steep. And I try to avoid sugar at all cost. Sometimes I'll use a little honey, but I try to avoid sugar. Anyways, the reason why I'm sitting down with you guys today is because I feel more or less that I have 549 subscribers, and it's about time I give you guys a little secret and let you in on a little secret in my life. And it has been a challenge. Every day I live one day at a time. Hopefully somebody will learn from this and just hang on in there and never give up, because there is always light at the end of the tunnel, and it doesn't matter how bright the light is shining. As long as there is light, keep pushing forward to get to that light. Okay, because in 2003 actually I started feeling very sick. We had a son, Javon. Javon was about 5 years old at the time, and I just started feeling very sick about a year before. Essentially, I felt like I didn't have any energy. I started getting flashes of light at the corners of my eyes, and I don't think my appetite wasn't that bad, but I was craving a lot of sugar. And I would say to my husband, you know what, honey, I think I feel like I'm dying daily. And so one day I picked my son up. I came home and I just felt like I wanted to pass out. It so happened that I had an appointment to see my family doctor, because I was seeing him on and off because of how I was feeling. Anyways, I got my son ready, and we actually took the bus to go to the doctor because my husband was at work at the time. So we got to the doctor. I told the doctor how I felt. Like I felt like I just wanted to pass out. And he asked me if I had a fight with somebody. I said, no, I didn't have a fight with anybody. He said, okay, let's take your pressure. He did my pressure. My pressure was 160 over 120. That's 160 over 120. Okay? So he proceeded to write me prescription for high blood pressure. Never had a pressure problem. That's when my pressure just spiked that time, and we know that I wasn't feeling well all along. He gave me the prescription for the pressure tablets. I took the, it said he wanted to see me in a couple weeks. I started taking the pills. I went back to see him. My pressure wasn't going down. He wrote me another prescription, which means that I was now taking 2 prescription drugs for high blood pressure. I was pretty thin. I've never been over 128 unless I was pregnant. 128 pounds at 5 feet 8 inches tall. Never been over that unless I was pregnant. Okay, so he gave me, I was now taking 2 pills for high blood pressure. He wanted to see me in a couple of weeks. I went back to see him. The pressure was still high. Okay, I continued taking the pills. I wanted to go back to see him another time, but he wasn't working at that time. So they were working like in a clinic setting, like, so there were other doctors there. So I decided to see another doctor to tell them how I was really feeling, and the pills were not helping. That doctor took me in the room. He put me to lay down, and then he took my pressure first. He put me to lay down in the room. He said I should picture myself on a beach and just relax. He came back and he took my pressure and he said, oh, your pressure came down. I think you're stressed. You just need to relax. Okay, went home. Continued taking the pills for about 6 weeks. I was taking the pills now. Went back to see my family doctor. He said to me, you know something? I'm going to send you to do an abdominal ultrasound. Sure enough, the abdominal ultrasound came back and I went back to see him. He said, okay, the results show that you have a mass on your kidney. It was my left kidney. You have a mass on your left kidney. So I'm going to send you to see a urologist. A urologist would come in and work out of that clinic sometimes. So that's in the same office I was going to see the urologist. Dr. Woods, God bless him, he was a very good doctor. So I saw the urologist with the ultrasound report that said that I had the mass on my left kidney. Okay, so when I saw him, he said, he looked at my history and he said, okay, I'm going to send you to do a CAT scan. So I was waiting for the CAT scan appointment. I wasn't getting a CAT scan appointment. Now 2 weeks, going 2 weeks, no appointment. I called the nurses station at the clinic. The nurses station told me that the hospital prioritized CAT scans. And so they appoint people by importance. So I said to the nurse on the phone, I said to the nurse, are you trying to tell me that I was told that I have a mass on my left kidney and that's not priority and that's not important for me to go get a scan? She said, okay. She said, hang up, I'll call the hospital and then I'll call you back. She called me back and I got a CAT scan appointment in, I think it was about 4 days after I spoke with her. I went in and I did the CAT scan. I did the CAT scan at the same hospital that the urologist worked out of. Sure enough, the CAT scan result went back to the urologist, and within that same week, the urologist's office called me and said, Dr. Woods is scheduling a surgery for you, and this is the date of the surgery, and this is what you need to do, and this is... So I said, hold a minute, please, hold a minute. Right now, I'm in the process of completing a course. I was doing an interior decorating course in the college. And I said to her, do I really have to do that surgery now, or can we wait and finish? She said, listen, the doctor thinks it's important for you to do the surgery, so we can't put it off. This is what I'll do for you. I'll schedule an appointment and you will come in and you will speak to the doctor, and the doctor will tell you precisely what is going on. So I went in and I saw Dr. Woods. My husband came with me, God bless him. 29 years now, we've been married 29 years. Dr. Woods came in. He spoke with my husband and myself. He drew us a little picture of the kidney. He told us that the mass was not on top of the kidney, it wasn't outside of the kidney, it was actually inside of the kidney, at the top pole of the kidney, he said. So he had to go in. He told us that he had to go in and he would take off the top half of my left kidney, and he said it was important that he schedule the surgery and get it done now because of the report. It looked like it was urgent to be done, and he didn't tell me anything about cancer. He just said it was urgent, and I wasn't thinking anything about cancer because I didn't have cancer in my family. I didn't know about anybody with cancer or anything like that. So that was the furthest thing from my mind. So he scheduled the surgery, and it was between my husband and myself that was taking care of our son. And so the day of the surgery, my husband took me to the hospital, and he dropped our son at school. Now he was supposed to stay around at the hospital so that if the doctor needed to talk to him about anything during surgery, then they could talk with him. But he had to leave because he had to go tend to our son that was in kindergarten. And so when Dr. Woods went inside of me, he figured he couldn't just take the top part of the kidney from what he was looking at. He said he would have had to take the whole kidney, and he would have to get my husband's permission. But he went to the waiting room, and my husband was not there because he had to leave. He had to tend to our son in school. And so Dr. Woods, God bless him again, thank God, he took the whole kidney. He didn't get my husband's permission, but he made a professional decision and he took the whole kidney. And I'm happy that he did. And I was in the ICU for a few days. I was hooked up on drip morphine. That's when I found out that I was allergic to morphine. Like my back was all over and welts and everything. And so anyways, when by the time I got out of the hospital, my sister, who lives in New Jersey, we live in Toronto, Canada at the time. Now we're living in the countryside, but at the time we lived in Toronto. God bless my sister, who had just started a new job at the bank, and she was even on probation, but she decided she was coming for a week to help us out with our son and to help to take care of me after the surgery. And she came. And so she spent the time with us. And there was one time that after I went back home that I felt like I was just going to pass out. Yeah, Dr. Woods took the kidney. I was in ICU. I spent some time in the hospital. He was so good. He would always say, "You're a strong person. You're a strong woman. God is taking care of you. You're going to be fine." And I believed him. And he didn't, up to that time, he didn't tell me what it was because he hadn't gotten back any results yet. Okay? So anyways, I went home. At one point, I felt like I was going to pass out. I just felt like that was it. My life was finished as I knew it. And so I told my sister and my husband, "I'm not feeling well. I just feel like I'm going to pass out. Call 911. So they called 911. 911 came. And they did some preliminary examination, and they said, "You know something, because of you just having surgery and all of that, we're going to take you in and make sure everything is fine." So they took me into the hospital. They did scans. They did a head scan. They did a tummy scan. Like they just scanned me all over. And in the end, what they said happened was that because I had lost blood, my blood count was down, and so that's why I was feeling dizzy and lightheaded. So after a whole day, my sister, my husband taking care of me, taking care of my son, God bless them, I came home. So when I went back to see the urologist had the report, and he gave me the report. And the report said that I had I think it was stage 2, 3, or was it stage 3, 4, kidney cancer, carcinoma. That's what I had. And that's why he had to remove the kidney. I asked him what he think went wrong. Why did I get cancer? Like it wasn't a part of my genetics or anything, family, no family history. And his only answer to me was that all he can say is that it was environmental. But he was so gracious. He was such a good doctor. And so he gave us the news. We went home, and believe you me, after I found out that I had kidney cancer and that I had lost the kidney to kidney cancer, it was like, to put in quotes, all hell broke loose. It's like all parts of my body was hurting, and all parts of my body was sick. Like, I felt feelings I had never felt before. My sister had to leave to go back to New Jersey to her job, and thank God when she got back, she actually got a full-time position. It did not affect her in the least. So she did something good. She came out, she sacrificed, and she went back, and she got a full-time position at that bank. Now I was left with my husband and my son. During that time, my husband had to take like so many days off work, because sometimes I would be home. There was a neighbor and a couple of church sisters who used to come, and we were living in an apartment at that time. So they would pick our son up and take him to school while my husband went to work, and I would be at home alone. And it's like fear took over my whole being. Fear took me over so much that sometimes I would be sitting there and it would be like something was coming through the door to get me, because of the C word that I was told I had cancer. When my husband was with me, I was fine. I was feeling so much better when I had company. But when I was by myself, it was no good, no good. So my husband took days and days and days off work, which I was so grateful for. Another thing that was causing the fear to even get worse is that I was latching on to too much negativity. When I say latching on to too much negativity, it's like I was listening to what's going to happen 5 years down the road, what's going to happen 2 years down the road, what's going to happen if this happens. And it's like it was all negative, and it's like I was just going out. It was going out of control, my thought process. And until I released all that negativity and I stopped digesting so much of the negative and the bad news, I was not able to literally begin living. When I began living was when I actually released all of the negativity. It was when I actually started feeding myself positive things, like one of the best things that I did was I latched onto a scripture. The scripture that I latched onto said, "I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to help you, plans to heal you." So I usually say, "I know the plans you have for me, declares the Lord. Plans to heal me, plans to give me help, plans to give me a future." And I say, "Lord, I see myself in the park playing with my son. I see myself having another child playing in the park. I just had to kind of see myself in all that positive life, see myself in the future, instead of seeing myself dead, sleeping in my grave. I saw myself alive, living with my husband, with my kids, with my kid at the time. And sure enough, I started feeling better mentally and physically. I started getting all those feel-good hormones that was healing my body. And during that time, I was seeing my doctor like every month. I would see the urologist because they wanted to check. They did blood work, and every 6 months they would do like abdominal and pelvic ultrasound. And so I did all those appointments during that time, and I kept believing and I kept thinking positive. And another thing that I did was I made changes to my diet. The bottom line is, one of the things that I found out is that cancer cells feed on sugar, especially simple sugar, like your white bread, your white rice. Nah, it's called carbohydrate. But guess what? Carbohydrate changes to sugar the minute you ingest it. And so I found out that cancer cells feed on sugar, and that's like their fuel. And so I cut that out, and I started eating more whole foods. I started eating less processed stuff, and I just changed. I drank more water. I stopped putting sugar in my teas. I just changed a lot in my diet, and I can't just keep talking about because my husband encouraged it. He supported me, and he actually helped me to make some of the changes that I had to make in order to start feeling better. And I am just so thankful that I am alive today. When I went back to see my family doctor, he said to me, "You're lucky. Go home and thank God." And that's what I did. I started thanking God every day for another day. I started trying to just remain positive. I threw out I actually threw out the report that I got from my urologist, and I just filled myself with everything that was gonna heal me and make me feel well, make me feel whole. So since 2003, I've been living with one kidney. I right kidney, and I take it one day at a time. The clouds are never too dark. They will dissipate. They will go away. You know, just keep strong. Focus on the positive. Cut out negativity out of your life. If there are even family members who are talking negative around you, try not to see them, or to see them less often, because that's no good for you when you're going through stuff like that. Another thing that I found out during that time is that cancer cells are non-area, like they don't like oxygen. Okay, so one of the things that my husband did was to buy me the sun is cold coming over now in my face. But anyways, one of the things that my husband did was to buy me a bike. So he bought me a stationary bike, and I would ride that stationary bike to just flood my system with oxygen. And thank God, 2003 to 2021, how many years? 18 years. And it's actually this month. It was in the October that I had the surgery done. 18 years. So I'm taking it one day at a time, and I'm just giving thanks. Okay? I'm allowed to just do what I want to do and just live life and love life. In 2015, we moved to the countryside, and that could not have been better for me. I love to be in the garden. I love to be outdoors, but I don't like to be outdoors too much during the winter. So in the summer times, I spend a lot of time outdoors. Right now it's fall, and I'm just being thankful. So that's one of the major things I'm always thankful for. But I keep remembering it, that well, how can I not remember? I'm living with one kidney, right? But I don't focus on it too much. I just do my best to do what's best for me and to do what's best for my family. It was the October that during Thanksgiving that I had the surgery. I was all bent over like an old lady, but now I can walk straight, and I can share what I went through in the hopes that it will help somebody and in the hopes that you guys that have subscribed to my channel will know a little more about me and will actually be encouraged by what I have shared with you. Okay, so thanks so much for subscribing, for following along and watching the videos and making comments and asking questions. Now for this video, whatever questions you want to ask, go ahead and ask it. I will be so glad. One thing I have to share with you guys too, like I sometimes laugh at myself that going through that cancer scare has put so much in perspective, to the point of I actually cleared out my closet when we were in the apartment. There is so much that I could share with you guys, but yeah, I actually cleared out my closet. It's like I was feeling at a point, before I started latching on to all the positivity, I was feeling at a point like, what's the use of all of this? I'm gonna die anyway. Why even keep them around? You know? And I'm not saying you should do that, but it puts things in perspective when you go through certain things, what's most important. Okay, so just decide that in your life, whether or not you've gone through a cancer scare, what's most important to you. Right now, we're going through a pandemic. We can just do our best, focus on the positive, just do what we're supposed to do. And as I said before, thanks so much for watching, for subscribing. Ask me any questions, make any comments you want to make. I'll answer them, I'll respond. Not a problem at all. And for those of you who are watching this video right now, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And please hit that notification button so you can be notified of new videos. I guess the sun came over just in time because I'm just about ready to wrap up. So you guys, you take care, be blessed, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Love and blessings.